See, I know y'all be thinking I'll be defending Trump. I'm just a real ass. I do rock with Trump, but I think Trump was going over there getting his sucked too, bro. Again, I think whatever Trump was on, Bill was on. I'm not trying to say Trump better than Bill. They both two, like Trump came from the business world, entertainment world, and then you have Bill Clinton, who basically was a up in the office. So he was trying to get his sucked. Trump was trying to get his sucked too. Now, the thing, and this is the only question I keep asking, like, the kids that was involved or, being victimized, is it only Jeffrey Epstein that was, like, doing shit like that? Or, like, because I'm thinking, honestly, Bill must have been with the adults, right? Like, don't you think that? Like, you don't think Bill was with the kids, right?
You are the one.
Somebody said, what about the Epstein files? You want us to go look at the Epstein files? Yo, somebody send me a link to the Epstein files. I'll go look at them. I heard they didn't show nothing. Let me see if I can find a link to them. Let's go look at the Epstein files, y'all. Somebody told me that Uncle Trump was in there. Epstein files link. All right. That's a good way to look it up, right? Where's Grok? Here we go. Breaking news. Major Epstein files are not publicly available and viewable across multiple platforms. All right, so this is what we all been waiting for, right? All right. Now, obviously, I'm hoping there's nothing that's like, overtly, I don't think they'll drop anything sexual in this release. Number one, the victims were underage, and number two, there's victims, you wouldn't do that. So let's just see any of these records. Okay, at least it goes to a justice.gov website. Here we go. We're going to figure out the Epstein files. Let's go right now. These are court records. Okay, let's just click into one of them. Complaint. Defendant's plan and scheme reflected a pattern and method. Defendant coerced. They're talking about Epstein. And then entice impressionable, vulnerable, and relatively economically less fortunate minor girls to participate in acts of sexual misconduct that he committed upon them. Defendant's scheme involved the use of underage girls as well as other individuals to recruit the young girls. Upon information and belief, the defendant and or authorized agent would call and alert the defendant's assistants before and shortly after he arrived at Palm Beach residence. So this, I believe, is his Florida case. He had a case out of Florida, then subsequently went to the island, and he had a case there too. His assistants would call economically and disadvantaged and underage girls from the area, and they would be enticed by money. Okay, then it says the then minor plaintiff and other minor girls, some young as 12, were transported to the defendant's mansions by the defendant's employees, agents, or assistants. Wow, interesting. This is a civil suit, though, right? Yeah, this is a civil suit. This is Jane Doe suing him. We want to see what the government claimed. Now, there's a photo archive. Let's go look at. Fuck. We need something to see this. To keep it secure, we need to confirm your identity. Hold on now. Hold on now. The FBI vault? What the hell? Are there pictures? Jesus. It would take us an entire stream to go through one of these things. Let me do what y'all do, and I usually do for rap. Epstein files released. Let's go listen to somebody give us the breakdown real quick. Here's what the Epstein files show. Not like listening to a YouTuber. Y'all listen to this guy? I want to see. I don't want like a mainstream outlet because they're full of shit. I like listening to a really informed YouTuber. Let me just filter to most views, then we'll find somebody. Okay, most views, and then we got to do this week. Did I watch Aspen Gold? Oh. Ooh, this is my boy right
The
here.
Epstein File Transparency Day is here thanks to legislation which forced the government to finally release the Epstein files. Is it going to be Republicans, Democrats? Who is on that island? I gathered all the documents they released, but first we have a little word from Todd Blanche, our Deputy Attorney General.
So yes, so today is the 30 days, and I expect that we're going to release several 100,000 documents today, and then over the next couple weeks, I expect several 100,000 more. There's a lot of eyes looking at these, and we want to make sure that when we do produce the materials we're producing, that we're protecting every single victim.
Wait, so Turns out, first of all, the files that got released today, they aren't actually all the files, even though by law they should have been. So yeah, the first thing you need to know about these files is that they are not all the files. And we have no idea which ones they held back and are gonna release later. And the second thing I want to tell you about are the redactions that are made. This is one of the most prominent things when you look at these files. You'll see there are a lot of just blacked out stuff. And look, sometimes that makes sense, right? If you say, look, we are redacting a victim's face, like totally get that. And clearly that happened in some instances. You know, CSAM was not scanned. Totally get that. I'm all about that. And I actually agree with the government. However, remember that Jason Leopold reported that sometimes what they were calling the Epstein Transparency Project, they also were calling the Special Redaction Project, meaning some people did not like being in there. And you kind of see that reflected in some of the redaction choices because some of these redactions just don't seem to make sense. And this is what they've already released. Remember, there's files we just don't know about because they haven't actually released the full files yet. They've released some of them. But for example, the BBC reported that a judge ruled that Ghislaine Maxwell's grand jury records can be unsealed. So, you know, all of us were wondering, okay, where are those? Well, they're redacted. Actually, 119 pages of some of these files were just like redacted fully. Like you couldn't see anything in these files. There's literally no details except it just says Grand Jury New York. And it's just like pages and pages of redaction. I mean, you can't see anything. This is part of the Transparency Act. So that is a weird look, but other redactions are also really strange. For example, we have this message among the documents where it seems to be Jeffrey Epstein getting a message that says, I have a female for him. It's like a note. Somebody left him a note. And they say, please call, I can't tell if that's her or him, but twice he gets a message. And both times it's a message that says, I have a female for him. But they redact the person who called, which kind of doesn't make sense. Like, isn't that someone you should be investigating? How is that a victim? Maybe there's...
Well, I think they're redacting it because if they are investigating that person, you don't want to spoil the investigation by telling the person like, hey, we're investigating you. Secondly, I guess because we live in America, if you weren't charged with the crime or you haven't been charged with a crime of the sort, they can't, weaponize the legal system to make you look like you're guilty. So I think that's why they're doing that.
There's context that we're missing, but I want to remind you guys that there was supposed to be an explanation for even why they were making certain redactions, and they didn't. Here's one of our legislators talking about that.
And our law requires them to explain redactions. There's not a single explanation for why that entire document was redacted.
So yeah, already Transparency Day was looking a bit shaky. But let me just say, there are some things worth looking at. So one of the big things that was interesting is that Bill Clinton was heavily featured in this whole thing. There's Bill in the hot tub with...
Oh, nah. Nah, Chad. Chad, if anybody got a hot tub, we're talking obviously with consensual adults here. That little lean back right there is, yo, let me show you. I could do tricks with it. No hands. That's the no hands move. Nah. Devious. Guilty. Oh, nah. You know what's crazy? Everybody was talking about Trump. It's the president that we kind of think is one of the coolest, if not the coolest. I guess we think Barack is the coolest now. But Bill is the second. Looked like Bill was over there getting his dick sucked, getting his ass eaten, threesomes, orgies. You never know. This nasty, though. Now, granted, I'm so kind of curious about this, the Epstein files. Clearly, he had, a disgusting liking for young women, like young girls, obviously under 18, and really he was the quintessential definition of what a pedophile was because he liked prepubescent teenagers. So, he liked women who were 13. You get what I'm saying? 12. And, I'm wondering if the guys who came to this island or was around him, did they have those sick fetishes as well? Or did they just look at it as, because I do think people probably looked at it like, yo, this is just where we could go to get easy, free pussy. And it's kind of protected that no one will find out. So what I'm saying is that I don't know if people like Bill were there saying, I want some kids, or he was there like, yo, I'm here to just have a freak off, legal and consensual, but I want to keep everybody out of my business. I don't know.
Some a lady that is redacted, and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Shit.
This appears to be on one of his trips early on.
Wait, Bill was fucking. So Ghislaine Maxwell is Jeffrey Epstein's like chick. You think Bill Clinton was Yo, is Bill Clinton still alive? You know how Ja Rule hasn't said a motherfucking thing about Diddy since Diddy got locked up? Man, Bill Clinton ain't said a fucking word since motherfucking people been pushing for this Epstein files. Is Bill Clinton alive? Yes, he is. But he don't make the news for nothing. He was recently in the news in 2024 for a brief hospitalization with a fever and got discharged and is active.
I think it's pretty obvious why Billy Boy is so prominently featured. Like, he's obviously was associated.
Is that my man Chris Tucker? Chris, don't tell me you was on the island.
This appears to be on one of his trips.
Why did you go to that island?
Early on. I think it's pretty obvious why Billy Boy is so prominently featured. Like, he's
Y'all see Chris Tucker right here? Holy.
obviously was associated with Jeffrey Epstein. He's a big name. He's kind of a scalp, if you will, and it gives the public something to think about. And the White House was trying to seize on that, obviously. Bill Clinton just chilling without a care in the world. Little did he know. And you have Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, saying, oh my. But ultimately, this leaves a giant elephant in the room for them that still doesn't make sense, which is this. Like, you guys don't care about Bill Clinton. Why haven't these files been released before? Like, why has there been such a cover-up of the Epstein files if Bill was the only guy in it? Right? Because let me spoil the surprise, because while Billy Boy is featured multiple times with multiple women on the plane and hot tubs, Trump is barely featured at all. The only pictures of Trump are some desk photos. He's not even in the picture. It's just thin. There's basically nothing relating to Trump that is that interesting. And people's point.
See, I know y'all be thinking I'll be defending Trump. I'm just a real ass nigga. I do rock with Trump, but I think Trump was going over there getting his dick sucked too, bro. Again, I think whatever Trump was on, Bill was on. I'm not trying to say Trump better than Bill. They both two niggas. Like, Trump came from the business world, entertainment world, and then you have Bill Clinton, who basically was a nigga up in the office. So he was trying to get his dick sucked. Trump was trying to get his dick sucked too. Now, the thing, and this is the only question I keep asking, like, the kids that was involved or, being victimized, is it only Jeffrey Epstein that was, like, doing shit like that? Or, like, because I'm thinking, honestly, Bill must have been fucking with the adults, right? Like, don't you think that? Like, you don't think Bill was fucking with the kids, right? If you believe this at all. So I kind of look at it like, all right, yeah, both of them are fucking with whatever grown people, but do I think they were there getting their rocks off? Yes.
Is like, well, that's a little weird, right? We know that they were all kind of involved. We know Trump and Epstein were, heavily associated together. Not saying there's some smoking gun or anything like that. I don't have any special information on that. But we know there are going to be files related to this. Like, it's obvious. We already have leaked reporting that they had him in the files multiple times. So it's like, where are they? And that's going to leave a lot of people unsatisfied because, of course, it's like, well, then the Epstein files really haven't been fully released yet. Now, there were some other interesting mentions. Michael Jackson made a cameo in some of these with Epstein and with Bill Clinton. I'd say the biggest finding, in my opinion, was this document right here, which just corroborates something that has been alleged for a long time, which is that Maria Farmer, she warned the FBI about Jeffrey Epstein back in 1996, and they just basically didn't do anything with it. Now, the New York Times reported that the FBI has never publicly acknowledged her original report, even to Mrs. Farmer. So yeah, this lady, this victim, had been talking about how she had reported Epstein a long time ago to the feds, and the FBI had never confirmed that, but today we have this, which it says that the complainant stated that she's a professional artist and took pictures of her sisters, 12 and 16 years old, for her personal artwork. Epstein stole the photos and negatives and is believed to have sold the photos to potential buyers. Epstein at the time requested blank to take pictures of young girls at swimming pools. Epstein is now threatening blank that if she tells anyone about the photos, he will burn her house down. This was back in 1996. Wow. And apparently nothing happened. I mean, obviously Epstein would not get arrested for a long time later, and then he got that sweetheart deal. So this is both a vindication to one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and it's an indictment of our law enforcement, because obviously they were tipped off on this way before. Actually, it's interesting, there's this complaint out there where allegedly Maria Farmer, while reporting this mid-sentence, the FBI hung up on her and did not make an attempt to follow up. It's just like one giant fumble after the next. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that got revealed. I want to say that some people had long not believed Mrs. Farmer, according to the New York Times. And so after the release of these files, the New York Times contacted Ms. Farmer about that report, and she broke down in tears.
All right, man. Shout out to my man Coffee Zilla, man. Y'all go watch this shit, man. Chat, it's late. If I sit here and watch a video, I'm going to sleep. I ain't gonna cap with you. Word two. Anyway, yeah, Epstein files is out. I think Trump, Bill Clinton, and the rest of the freak ass niggas was over there getting their dick sucked, piping chicks out. I'm unclear though if everybody was sleeping with kids or it was just maybe Jeffrey Epstein and a couple of his creeps. We'll see. Anyway. You know what's kind of interesting? Yo, they're up in arms right now. They're giving Nicki Minaj hell. Nicki Minaj looked like she is MAGA. Now, a lot of people took note that Nicki Minaj showed up to Turning Point USA, which is Charlie Kirk's organization, with his widowed wife. And they showed up and walked out like this. Let me see if I could bring the moment here. Wow. You know what's so funny? In the last couple of years, Nicki Minaj has come across to, I think, a lot of us in the culture as so nasty. And like when we hear her say, like address people, she's like really talking so vile that we forget that like part of the reason her brand was so huge and so great is that she was on this like I'm a Barbie, whatever, and she had songs that were kind of like building the brand of that. And why do I bring that up? When Nicki comes out here and she's smiling and she's doing like these harmless gestures, I don't even think of Nicki like that anymore. Like that was like early Nicki, who was just like, you know, she's just like almost like this Barbie that's just like positive. Now I feel like Nicki's kind of like salty and bitter, and it's very different. Like I've only heard her like go crazy on people for whatever reason. Anyway, so that happened, and I'm not gonna lie. Here's some more.
So we're just gonna dive right into this. You had some fun words for Governor Newsom. I have to read these tweets because they're amazing and they are so funny. Okay, first one, we'll do this one. Unless you want to read it in your own voice. I think it'd be really great. Okay.
Oh, Gabby Poo, it only gets worse from here for you, buddy. It's the end of the road for you, my love. Get on the nearest jet ski and let that beautiful hair blow in the wind. It'll make you happier than this race that you will not win. Enjoy life. Peace.
Damn, it's kind of interesting watching Nicki Minaj even in front of Erica Kirk. Yeah, I remember Nicki Minaj with Uzi's girl, JT, and she basically, you know, was bossing around JT on that live and was just like, yo, perform. She wanted her to like rap your diss at me because you dropped a diss song about me, so rap it now. And I ain't gonna lie to you, most of the women who really love Nicki and hip hop, they kind of like, you know, succumb to her whatever demand she has, and they're kind of they grovel at her feet. It's rare that we see Nicki Minaj outside her element, and then, you know, say Erica Kirk or anyone else could be like, hey, Nicki, how about you read it? And she's not talking back. She's not giving an attitude. She's not looking sassy. She's coming out with the heart symbol. This is the first time in a while I've seen Nicki Minaj actually look like she isn't about to crash out. Or she has some type of respect. Like, she usually talks to people very disrespectfully, and, it looks like that's different, at least in this setting.
Okay. One more.
Why not? Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav. The Gav nots. Gav not in. Gav out. Send in the next guy. I'm bored.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like Nicki comes across like a little bit like a puppet. Not saying she doesn't believe these things, right?
So I'm just going to let you riff. Like, I want you to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and it's really the setup about this. It's like, Erica Kirk, who people have so many criticism of her, she brought on the rapper who will echo talking points and, like, she could say the N-word, but Erica can't. So this whole thing kind of feels like, damn, it's a little bit unbecoming of what I think Nicki is, because Nicki, for the longest, she's kind of acted like she's just bigger than the program. So watching her at this Turning Point USA show, and she's acting within the confines of the program, is like, oh, okay. So basically, Nicki or anyone else, they will change your minds and be a little bit malleable as long as it could help them. And what I think the help here is, Nicki Minaj is realizing Turning Point USA has a huge audience. Also, a lot of things are moving towards politics. Politics seems to have all the drama and have all the good debates and all the things that I think people like. Well, not necessarily Nicki, but a lot of people are drawn to it. So,
Well, Mr. Newsom.
Dear Newscum.
See, that's what I don't like. It feels like they want Nicki to say that they could laugh at it, but they're not really inclusive of Nicki as well, right? It's just that they want somebody to diss Gavin Newsom or any of their political ops.
We don't have a problem cleaning up the scum if we have to. Please tread lightly. That's what I would say to Gavi Poo.
Okay.
You have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And
Oh, wow. Oh, so Nicki's leaning all the way political. Now, I do want to point this out. And for anyone who, because I do think that there's a misconception even about me, right? Like, number one, Ak is bought and paid by the Republicans and whatever. Second, oh, he just loves Trump or something of the sort, or I don't know, Trump gave rumbles. They have whatever conspiracy theories. Here's the point I'm going to try to say. I don't give a fuck. Listen, I was born in Jamaica, but I'm a tax-paying citizen in the United States, okay, and I love this country. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I know I'm black. I'm very happy to be black. But fuck you other niggas who think that because I'm black, I can't think for myself. I've always thought for myself. And I've never been the person who's been the person who is like one of the sheep. I've always, a lot of times, be like, you know what? On this particular matter, I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be over here. And that doesn't mean it's a sellout. And that's what I hate about how politics is discussed. It doesn't mean it's a sellout, right? Like, again, if you ask me, do I think Obama was the best president? No. But I voted for him. And would I vote for him again, given the circumstances at that time? Of course I would. So I voted for Obama then. I voted for Trump now. Biden's a stiff. I can't vote for a corpse. I don't know who I'm going to vote for when it comes to 2028? Hopefully somebody that, kind of galvanizes us come around. I'm not into, another thing that I just step aside from. You can't tell me just because, oh yeah, we love black women, so vote for Kamala. Fuck no. And I wouldn't vote for Obama's wife neither. Like, I don't want, like, y'all can't black me to death. Like, what the fuck? Hell nah. So, me, I'm a person, I don't consider myself Democrat or Republican. I consider myself a logical person. So, again, if you come with some good shit, and I think the country at the time, because the country is like a really malleable, almost living thing, if I feel like it needs a Democratic president, which usually sometimes we're in a place where we need social reform, or sometimes, issues that, usually progressives focus on more, yeah. And we have a good leader that's running, yeah, I'm going to be voting for a Democrat. But here's the thing, and I hate that people use shaming tactics, right? They'll be like, oh, he's right wing. So what happens if I vote, or when, because you don't know, I ain't going to lie, the Republican Party's kind of having they're almost damn near self-destruction at this point. So if I vote Democrat, am I left-leaning again? It don't work like that. I'm just a regular person. Now, why do I say that? Because for me, anything you've heard me say, or my demeanor or my support of, say, Trump or any maybe like conservative policies, is because I actually do think that. Like, I'm not saying it because it's convenient for me or I'm looking at a potential upside. I try to stay away from politics because I realize a lot of my audience, you guys don't like probably my political view. Because if I had to poll my audience, I would probably say about 90% y'all are Democrats. I'm not trying to push politics on y'all. That's what they thought I was going to be doing, right? They'll be like, oh, I don't give a fuck to push politics on y'all. And I was always honest. I was like, yo, I think I got offered like 25 grand or something like that, but it was from Democrats. Republicans never have offered me money to like do some political ads or whatever. It was only Democrats, and it was the 2016 election. And I never did. But the point of what I'm saying is that if you've ever seen me do or say anything political, it's because I actually believe it. But I'm not trying to push politics on y'all. I say that, and I juxtapose that point to Nicki Minaj, right? And I believe Nicki Minaj, I'm like, I don't know if Nicki Minaj believes this, because I don't think you hear it has Nicki been saying this? I know she's critical of Gavin Newsom. By the way, she has a lot of background and incentive there. Nicki Minaj lives in California. California is a place that, with all her legal battles that she's going through, and even how they publicly have used some of her rival, including Meg Thee Stallion's music or otherwise, to kind of represent what they got going on. And yeah, I could see why she probably feels she has to be on the opposite side, because we all know Nicki Minaj, she takes her views personally. But, not shaming no one here or trying to accuse anyone of anything, but I oftentimes think about the situations that Nicki is in. Nicki has certain things, not only financially, taxes, whatever, or liens, or whatever they might call it, and I want to be very careful because I don't want to make her look bad when I'm just trying to analyze the situation. But also, her husband is a registered sex offender, and the demeanor of California state government, which is ran by a Democrat, I could see, she's been actually really kind of combative with them, not only on social media. So I could see why she kind of would fall on the side of like a Trump or like Republicans. But I've never heard this before from her. And maybe I don't tune into everything. I know the bar's going to be like, no, she's always loved Trump. But I'm like, it does surprise me that Nicki, unless I missed something, didn't show up, did not vocalize her support for Trump while he was going for re-election. Yet a year and some change, or almost 2 years into his presidency, she's now vocalizing her support. She is vocalizing her support, saying he's a wonderful president, this and third. And that's when I start to think, is she really thinking these things versus her realizing that, this TPUSA thing is such a huge deal. Like, I'm telling you, politics right now, it's popping off, and it's the first time I've ever seen politics be so inviting of the casual viewer. Mostly, even if you just want drama, you just want whatever. it's bringing in a lot of people. And if you look at like the numbers like hip hop and most other genres pale in comparison to politics. So when I look at that, I'm like, is Nicki just trying to, placate and kind of like pander to this side because right now that's where the meta seems to be, but also be with like Turning Point USA because they have a huge audience. Or maybe she really does feel like this. That's where I'm stuck on. I don't know if Nicki actually feels like this, right? Anyway, I know I paused here, so let me just keep it going.
And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president.
Okay. Now, this right here, Nicki's one who loves to hear herself speak, and I like hearing Nicki speak too. But Nicki's just said the assassin J.D. Vance. Like, generally speaking, we don't refer to our presidents who most of them sanction murders and mass murders overseas constantly. Like, they press one button, sign one thing, and there's a bomb dropping fucking in who knows, Iraq or something like Syria, and people are dying, and we don't hear about it, so we think nothing happens. But yeah, they authorize murder. So we generally don't look at that side of it, and we don't call our own presidents like, whether it's terrorist or murderers or whatever. But the irony, so I'm saying that's like a bad choice of word. But then the irony of this is that the person who founded TPUSA, which is Charlie Kirk, he got murdered. And with him being murdered, it's like, all right, it's like it's not even too soon because she's not making fun of him. It's like, you might not want to talk about an assassin when there's still like this fever pitch about whether this guy died by the hand of a lone gunman who was just anti-Trump and anti-MAGA and anti-Charlie Kirk, clearly. Or maybe this guy actually passed away because of some of these conspiracy theories that maybe somebody in the government wanted him killed. Maybe it was Israel. Maybe it was his own organization. Maybe if one of them wasn't the killer, the other was probably like covering it up, and that makes it interesting. So I think that was a Freudian slip. But yeah, they didn't embarrass her.
J.D. Vance, our vice president. Assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that...
Oh, she's trying to reel it in. She's trying to reel it in. Now, the funny part about it, which, I don't want to judge a grieving widow ever, but I'm going to keep it a being with you. Charlie Kirk's wife, I'm not saying she don't miss her husband. I do think she do. I think she missed him. I think she loved him. They have kids together. I think her life has changed. But let me tell you this. She loves this motherfucking clout. You could tell. She loves this goddamn clout. She loves the idea that she's now the queen of she's the queen of the empire right now, or the queen of the kingdom. And essentially, you see these moments where it feels a lot more about, her kind of like popping in and doing her thing more than her grieving her husband. Not saying she has to grieve her husband 24/7, but I feel like she loves the clout. You guys could tell me different.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine.
Now, another thing is this. By the way, also here's the thing too. Like obviously there are conspiracy theories or theorists. A lot of people feel like she fucking J.D. Vance. I'm just calling a spade a spade. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud, chat. Yo, there's some pictures of, her husband just died. And every time she with J.D. Vance, she hugging him like it's going out of style. She looking at him like he just proposed, like they're about to do that dance they do at a wedding. So, yeah, some people already think that she already, giving it up. Now, I don't know these things to be true. So I'm just kind of going off, what the internet is saying, even though, again, I do not know this to be true. But people feel like she been trying to, she been trying to shop that little pussy around, since her husband dead. Like she looking at it like, yo, I'm gonna fuck one of y'all, and I don't care who it is, type shit. So that's another thing. Which I'm only bringing this up because TPUSA, like part of their audience, is now filled with skeptics and filled with people who believe in conspiracy theories that think there's way more to his murder. So when you say something like that, they're gonna say, of course, the wife of the guy who dies and the who is linking up with this character. Yes, he's the vice president, but Nicki Minaj called him an assassin. Maybe that dude killed Charlie because he wanted her wife, or his wife. Again, I'm just pointing out how some of this stuff is a Freudian slip because Nicki Minaj is riffing and she's going off script too much.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did. I love you.
Oh, wow.
I love you. You have to laugh about it, truly. I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment.
That was awkward. And by the way, Candace Owens going to have a field day with that, right? Field motherfucking day with that one. Okay. I said she's making history yet again, being the first person to participate.
Today solved one of the great insecurities that I had. Because as I've watched Nicki Minaj come out and declare her support for the truth, for courage, and for wisdom, I've had this little nagging voice in the back of my head wondering whether she thinks I look like the J.D. Vance meme. And it turns
Anyway, politics is now turned into like pop culture super drama. If you guys watch anything to do with like House of Cards, I mean, I've been recommending it, and shout out to all y'all who have like, for whatever reason, took my recommendation. I've been talking about Homeland. It's more of like politics and geopolitics, like, with foreign affairs, but it involves the CIA. It's a really good show. Shout out to all y'all who have been watching. If you have been watching it, I try not to spoil it for y'all. But yeah, these days it looks like real politics really meshes with what we saw with like House of Cards, and we saw with like Scandal and things like that. Like, yes, it seems that messy, right? Like it actually, I remember watching those shows and be like, it's a good show, whatever. But like, none of that shit ain't really happening. Yeah, I think now I've changed my opinion. I think all that shit is happening. Like you're realizing like Scandal and the real, like we had a podcaster that was the second in command at the FBI. He just announced that he's about to quit. That's Dan Bongino. I think he's on Rumble too, or he was. What else? Like, there's just a bunch of shit that you would just be like very skeptical of. Like, what the fuck? Like, is this actually real? Like we're watching the vice president come to a rally for an organization. Like, yes, it's an important organization, but it's like you don't got nothing better to do with your time. Trump loves doing interviews more than probably doing his actual job. Rock with Trump, but come on now, Trump be doing mad. Yeah, that's like a thing of mine. When I wake up, because I like, as I'm doing my day or whatever, I want to hear something that has some substance to it, and I watch Trump interviews. Like, the dude's really entertaining. Is he trying to be entertaining? I don't think, not necessarily, but I do think these days, like podcasts, soap opera stuff, and actual politics all blend in almost a very interesting way that reminds us all of TV shows. So yeah, like Vice President J.D. Vance talking about Nicki Minaj. Like, come on, bro. Here we go. All right, so Nicki Minaj was the thing. Okay. So the big moment was when he called homie an assassin, right? Okay. Now, apparently the Barbs are losing their shit. Like, they are crashing out, right? And not too sure why, but, I think Nicki has always gone against the grain, but people are not liking that. Let me see if I could. Give me a second. Here we go.
Pepper for a fucking nose having ass
bitch.
when I saw your big ass.
I'm not gonna.
So this is the Barbs. They had a spaces to talk about what the fuck was going on. And here we go.
That's
I'm not gonna.
Wrap
Bitch,
it up.
shut up.
Ugly ass bitch.
You're mad,
Don't
you're
come a
pressed.
fucking
You're
ceiling
mad, you're
fan, you
pressed.
ugly ass bitch.
Anyways, Killer, thank
Why
You
are
have
you
some
mad?
fucking nerve with them black
Why are
ass
you
guns.
mad?
You ugly
Why are
ass
you mad,
fag. You have
bitch?
lost your fucking mind,
Okay,
bitch.
don't say shit about Nicki Minaj, bitch, if you don't like her and you're that
Fuck you,
fucking
bitch.
mad, you ugly ass bitch. Fuck you and fuck
you
your
need to
mother.
go.
Ugly ass bitch. I would say fuck your mama, but
Ugly
she's
ass
6
bitch.
feet under
Bitch, you
summer
can't
rolling
see
in
what
her
I look
braids,
like,
seeing her
ho.
ugly ass
Shut
fat
the
ass
fuck
on her
up.
Twitter space right now. With all them
Oh
black
my
braids
God.
on her ass.
Now, they're all divided because they don't know what to really think. Some people have like an independent perspective on some of this political stuff, and some of them probably don't want their favorite artists getting into politics, much less supporting somebody that they might not support. So, after watching some of these things, because they were seeing the tweets for a while, but now they're seeing Nicki, who I don't know when's the last time she was seen in public. She's popping up at the event with these guys, and now that's the conversation. People are wondering, yo, are the fans gonna like still rock with her and look like they're doing some infighting?
You want the motherfuckers like you. You want to fight. You want to argue and you want to get attention. This is the most attention you've ever had in how long, bitch?
For real.
This is
Black and mild
my
lip ass
feelings
bitch.
matter.
Retarded, and you haven't said anything that made sense today.
Oh, now the retarded community can fucking.
Yeah, they're crashing out, yo. They're absolutely crashing out. There's another spaces
Trans is not a choice. That's not something that they made and just said, "Oh, I just want to transition and become a woman." That's not a choice that they made. That's something that.
Now, here's the thing. I think a lot of so let me just, because I don't want to drag this, and I know some of y'all. Again, I do. Anytime I cover politics, I want to get active feedback from y'all on that. So, like, the next day, I want to hear if you want me to keep doing it, do it less, do it, but do it a little bit shorter, go more in depth. We could do whatever that you guys are comfortable with. Obviously, we're never going to be a show about politics, and secondly, I'll never try to push my personal political views on you guys. And shoot, I like political debates. I like debates in general. Clearly, I was on Everyday Struggle. Before we ever got to there, it would be more of a, okay, let me bring somebody who disagrees with me and we just debate it and you guys can be the judge. But I'd like to hear the feedback from you guys. But I'm gonna let me break this down succinctly on what's going on, right? So I think Nicki's fans thought, they're always supporting everything Nicki does, right? If Nicki says the sky is blue, they're gonna be like, sky is blue. Well, now the sky is blue. But if she says sky is red, they'd be like, no, it's red. They would argue up and down, sky is red, shut the fuck up. You're like, the queen said the sky is red. That's what it is. Now, ironically, we all know this, right? Nicki Minaj's fans is filled with a lot of people from the LGBTQIA plus communities. A lot of homosexuals, a lot of transsexuals, bisexuals, and the rest of the sort. And what kind of happened is that I think some of her fans thought that her support, or like when she was tweeting about Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom is a progressive, he's a Democrat, they thought she was just trolling. Like, she didn't believe some of the stuff she was saying, or, it wouldn't be that serious. Now, after, Nicki has popped out and she's given a speech at TPUSA, it's not about just some tweets anymore. Now she's basically co-signing like agendas and rhetoric that would not go in line with their own worldview. What is that? She's basically saying that, Gavin Newsom shouldn't be forcing kids to learn about trans individuals. And she's saying things that I could imagine if you were trans, you might have a few questions. Not saying you're going to be beef with Nicki, like you might have just a few questions for. And that's where her audience is starting to have some infighting, because she has a lot of trans people there. And the other people who are not trans, they're just kind of like kicking their back in by saying, yo, the queen says we shouldn't be having situations where we're grooming people to change their gender, blah, blah, blah. But they're quoting Nicki, and then those people have to defend themselves because, I don't know, I guess even bigger than Nicki, this is your way of life.
Biologically, their brain is telling them that they were made to be a woman.
What? No, that's called mental. That's mental illness. That's what the fuck that
mental
is.
illness.
Mental illness. All right, so Nika, get this bitch the fuck out of here. What the fuck are you talking about?
Listen.
You. So am I ready today? Oh, I want to be a boy.
Kick her.
I want to be a boy.
I don't want to take
Wait,
up too
let
much
me-
of your
let me-
time. I just want to say little one
Fuck out.
thing.
We're
And just like
277 followers.
get the
Get the fuck out of here, ho.
She's like 14. Kick her.
So,
Kick her, bro.
This bitch is 14.
what
Just
I'm
press
gonna
No
it
say
shade,
out.
is
okay,
not-
sis.
So it's like Nicki Minaj's support and overt support for this right-wing agenda is kind of drawing to light. Yo, people who are right-wing or people who rock with Trump, they don't really give a damn about trans rights. And they actually are probably going to be, not as nice on interactions with those peoples because they don't care about it. They don't actually even believe it exists. And that's where we're seeing a lot of people, kind of like rebel against what Nicki's been kind of like doing so far. Okay.